You know, it's sort of hard to believe that it's 2019 and the Phantom 4 Pro was released in 2016. I actually ended up picking up another one after selling this about a year and a half ago. But I still think this drone is worth it in 2019, and if you're waiting for the Phantom 5, you probably shouldn't. What's good and welcome back everybody. My name's Original Dobo and on my channel I do drone and tech related content, so if that's at all interesting, definitely go ahead, hit that subscribe button before you leave this video. I'm traveling this week, so if it looks a little bit different than my normal, it's because I'm in Georgia, McDonough, Georgia. Anyways, I brought the Phantom 4 Pro along with me on this trip to go ahead and test it out. I just ended up picking it up, and the more I use it, the more I'm pleasantly surprised with how future-proof this drone actually is. When it was first released in 2016, it had beast-like specifications that no other drone on the market had. 4K 60 frames per second, 1-inch mechanical sensor, 30 minutes of flight time, and 360-degree obstacle avoidance. It was pretty impressive, and since that point, every single drone since then has chased the Phantom 4 Pro's specifications. Now, they've come close, and the Mavic 2 Pro definitely is a vast improvement in terms of portability, but as far as the camera sensor goes, if you ask many professionals, they still prefer the Phantom 4 Pro sensor. And I'm gonna have to agree with them to a certain extent. I definitely do like it. Now, color science is really subjective, and to certain people, they may like the color science from, let's say, the Mavic 2 Pro. It's a little bit warmer, but I still think it's a drone that is worth purchasing if you can find it used or even new, like on clearance. I think at one point I saw these as cheap as like 700 bucks at B&H Photo at one time. Now, if you can get one used, definitely go ahead and do it, especially if you're sitting around waiting for the Phantom 5, because at this point we have no ETA, and we don't even know if we're going to see another drone from DJI this year. Now, there's a lot to really love about the Phantom 4 Pro still. Like I said, 4K 60, mechanical, sensor, shutter. Probably gonna cut that. Is that a frog? I'm filming by a creek. That sounds like a bullfrog. That thing's massive. But yeah, I went ahead and took some shots and did some filming while I was out today. I've been working till like 4 o'clock each day, so by the time I get out of work, it's really super pretty, lots of contrast. Filming in D-Log M on this is a little bit of a challenge. I forgot that the ISO minimum was set to 500. That's one advantage to the Mavic 2 Pro, is that ISO has no minimum set and it's at 100 all the time, which is great, especially if you don't want to use ND filters. But take a look at some of these shots and let me know what you think. Now, obviously, having 10-bit color science does help out a bit. Now, you can use H.265 on this drone as well if you're filming, but if you think about it, the Phantom 4 Pro was one of the first drones with 4K 60 frames per second at 100 megabits read-write. And what I love about this, it also offers that cinema-style 4K as well, so you can get those really wide, expansive shots. And the fact that I don't have to use any sort of post-corrections when I'm editing my video is definitely a time saver. I have to apply a lens correction every time I'm shooting with the Mavic 2 Pro just to go ahead and straighten out lines. Is it a big deal? Well, not really, but if I'm trying to bust out a really quick edit on a home, it can slow me down a little bit, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer to render, and that can ultimately slow down my whole process. But with this, it's basically shoot, line up the colors a little bit, because the color science, to me personally, isn't quite as good. It's a little more on the cool side, but the image was really solid. Get the colors to where I want, and I'm ready to go. And that takes a lot less time than waiting for something to render. which is something I can really appreciate. I did go ahead and put the P4 2.0 props on here. It does help. I really don't notice it being any quieter. It still sounds pretty loud to me, but some people tend to believe it is quieter. Light bridge isn't really all that bad. I really haven't had too many problems, and a lot of people who still have the Inspire are using light bridge, and you never hear anybody with an Inspire 2 complain about connectivity issues. But I've never found that the range of this was an issue, or I was getting any really too many obstructions in cities or just flying with it. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses with this drone. I will say my first Phantom 4 Pro crashed in a lake on Christmas Day, probably like the worst experience I've ever had with the DJI product. It had an ESC failure, which DJI did end up warrantying, and I ended up getting a brand new replacement, which I had for a little bit, and then I ended up selling to my buddy Joe Mariana, who actually has a channel. I'll go ahead and link that down below. But when Joe was flying his, he actually crashed it and had a similar experience, that it fell out of the air. So a lot of people have said previously in other videos that they've had issues where the drone would just drop out of the sky. So not really sure what the deal is with that, but that's something to bear in mind if you are buying a used one. Another thing is batteries. I went through 2 batteries before I was able to find a good one when I first bought my Phantom 4 Pro. And since these are a little bit older, batteries have sat on the shelf a little bit longer, so you may have that same problem where you find dead batteries on arrival and there's nothing you can do. You can't revive them. You can let them sit on the charger all you want and they'll never come back to life. Those were some of the problems I had. Were they big problems? No, not really. They were pretty minor and I was able to correct them pretty easily, but it's something to bear in mind anytime you're buying a used product. But all in all, I really still love the Phantom. It's not quite as portable as my Mavic. I can't just chuck it on a plane and take it with me. But when I'm home or traveling to, like, say, a state next door to Florida, like Georgia, yeah, I'll absolutely chuck this in the trunk and take it with me. And I still think it's a great drone to purchase if you're looking for something with beast-like specs. You're not going to get much better than the Phantom. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you currently own a P4 Pro? And if you do, you should feel pretty good knowing that this thing's still the creme de la creme when it comes to specifications for a drone. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Stay original.